Beef stew, but a little spicy Asian sort of take on it. Braised beef, soy sauce, bit of honey, bit of clove, bit of chili, bit of ginger. We're gonna colour it in a bit of sesame oil, finish it with some spring onions and coriander, and serve it with some mashed potatoes, so it's kind of comforty sort of food, but with a bit of a twist.
Sounds delicious.
So preheat pan. I'm just going to put the oil in first. So it's just a blend of pomace oil and sesame oil. And then into a bit of seasoned corn flour. So just with salt and pepper. Just a little bit seasoned. Right, so just raw meat.
You season the flour, you don't season the beef?
I'm seasoning the flour first.
Okay. What kind of beef are you using?
Topside.
Topside,
yeah.
If you can't get topside,
I think you kind of, for a dish like this, it's braised, so it takes a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So you do need topside, chuck. We're going to put the beef in the pan, and as I said before, when the beef goes in, it's going to cool the pan down. So you need to make sure your pan is hot enough to take the temperature of the beef.
What's the point in rolling it in the corn flour?
I've used corn flour because it's a bit more Asian-y. If that's even a word.
I don't think it is.
Probably not. Now. When we add all the liquids later on, it's going to help thicken it a little bit, rather than having to reduce stocks and all that sort of stuff. It's like a natural thickening agent with the corn flour and liquid. Okay, so that's all, nicely coated. Generally with raw meat, I use gloves. At home, in the restaurant, whatever, I use gloves, just for hygiene reasons. And also, when you're cooking this beef, and you put it into the pan, your gloves will protect your fingers from getting splashed. So just line them all up inside.
So if you haven't got a deep pan, you could use like a normal frying pan would work.
You could, yeah, but when you're braising, you generally need a deep pan.
Yeah.
You need a pan that's going to contain all your ingredients nicely. A little shake, just make sure they're not stuck, or always make sure the oil is underneath whatever you're putting in a pan. Meat, fish, anything like that, just make sure it's underneath. I'm just going to get the other ingredients ready. So we've got some onion, fresh ginger, fresh garlic, fresh chilies, some spices, star anise and cloves, some tomato paste, some honey and some soy, okay? And some lemongrass and bay leaves. So lots of aromatics, lots of flavors, very, very fragrant. Just going to peel my onion. Always take the top end off, root end on the bottom, turn it over so it's flat on your board, and then finger and thumb on either side, straight through the root, straight through the middle. Always another tip as well, keep a little container on your work section for rubbish, onion shells, garlic shells, little bits of wrappers and things like that. Just a little bin. Starting to colour slowly. I just take the root off and go in at the angle. The root there is the strongest part. That's the bit that generally makes people cry. Just nicely flat side on the board. Yeah, it's definitely colouring.
So what are you putting in now, more oil?
Just a little bit more oil. Seems to... Pan's dried out a little bit. You really want maximum colour on this to get the flavour. Because if you don't maximise the colour on it at the beginning, whenever you put your liquids in there, your stocks in there, it's just going to wash it off. So anything you're washing off, you're washing into the sauce, into the stock, you want that flavour there. But obviously if you burn it, it's bitter and it's ruined. So, okay, so just carrying on, slicing the onions. So I'm just going to take a couple of cloves of garlic. You need to make sure it's all peeled. You don't want all the roots in there and stuff. It's still going to be eaten, but you don't need to worry about messing around fine dicing.
And people get scared of garlic, don't they? Big chunks, but
yeah, but when
it's going to be in there for a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's going to braise down.
You're not even going to know it's there. It'll just disappear, won't it?
Yeah. Ginger, a thumb-sized piece of ginger is enough. I'm going to take that out and just put it into a bowl, because I want all that's stuck to the bottom of the pan, I want that to come off into my sauce. Into the oil again. I'm just going to scrape that off. So the water that's coming out of the onions, all that steam that's coming out, that's kind of stopping whatever's stuck to the bottom of the pan from burning. A tiny bit of soy. That's really strong, look. It's not like your normal runny soy. And a bit of honey.
That's quite a thick soy sauce you put in there.
Yeah, it was a thick. So that's what a dark soy is.
Yeah.
So it's really concentrated. It's going to pop a good spoon of tomato puree in there.
Is that like a tablespoon?
Yeah. A couple of star anise. A couple of cloves, not much because they're strong. And I'm going to split this chili again. This is all for the flavour. So I'm just going to put that whole chili in.
Wow.
Thick paste. I'm going to put the beef back in. Good pinch of salt. Get that mixed up. I'm just going to use some filtered water or bottled water and just pour that in. Give it a good stir, make sure it's all nicely mixed. Remember, it's going to cook for 2 hours, so if it looks liquidy now, in 2 hours it won't be. So, you know, don't think it's too runny or too wet, too liquidy, because it's going to take time. So I'm just going to break that lemongrass. And again, like the chili, I'm going to pick it out later.
Yeah.
So just pop that in there. Just rip them open. Yeah, so that's going to go on a really low heat. I'll put a timer on for 1 hour. I think by the time it comes down, everything's going to like concentrate and strengthen, and then we'll have a nice glazed sauce for the beef. We're going to serve some mashed potato with the braised beef. This is how I do it at home, which I'm sure everybody can do. Just peel potatoes, just cut them into chunks, so in half again, and just pop them in seasoned water and boil them until they're soft.
So when you say seasoned water,
salted. Good pinch of salt at the beginning. Okay, so just cover with cold water, bring it up to the boil. You can put a knife in. Nowhere near yet. They need to be soft in the middle. Okay, so they probably take about half an hour. Starting to break up now. I've left them on the side just to settle down in the water. I'm going to strain them off. Leave them 5 minutes on no heat and then drain them off, because otherwise they start absorbing the water if you leave them longer than 5 minutes. I'm going to put them back in the pan that I've cooked them in. So one pan wonder is the idea. And then I'm just going to cook out some of that moisture. So the milk and the cream has just been warming on the side. Break it down. It's getting smooth. You need a little spatula like this. This is really handy. You'll see us using this little blue spatula a lot because it's just really helpful. Just add in the milk and the cream that we've had hot on the side. Just bring it up to the boil and take it to one side. And just add a little bit at a time.
So what would you say your ratios are if you've got 500 grams of potatoes? How much cream and milk do you think you need to add to it?
That was about half a kilo of potatoes. And I've added, I would say, 200 ml of liquid. So 100 ml of milk, 100 ml of cream. And just have a little taste. Nice and smooth, spot on. So I'm just going to leave that to cool down on the side. As soon as the beef's ready, we'll just re-warm it up in the pan and serve it. Stew off. See how thick it is now compared to it was runny earlier. I said don't worry about it. 2 hours that's been on a low simmer. I wanted to flavour the stew, but I don't really want to put them on the plate. So I don't think I'll be able to get them all. But if I can get the majority, then we're halfway there. Stew's nice and hot, just come off. I've let it sit for about 15 minutes just to settle down. So just give it a reheat. Beat out the lumps again. You should be able to see that you've got a really nice smooth potato there. Lovely. Spring onion. Very roughly chop these. Coriander. Very roughly chopped. I'm going to transfer this into a bowl. Warm my stew up again. Straight in the middle. Squeeze fingers. The lemongrass has crept up. I know I missed something, so the lemongrass is in there. I just need to avoid that. Don't really want to eat a whole stick of lemongrass. Some spring onions. A bit of fresh coriander on top. And that's the soy braised beef stew.
Delicious.